We're finally getting good movies again.
There have been two moments in my life when I was happiest. The first was the day I met Josh.
I'm Josh.
I'm Iris. And the second, the day I killed him.
I've said it almost since I started my channel. We are finally emerging from the dark age of cinema. The first glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel was 2022's Top Gun Maverick. Since then, we've gotten more and more good movies and less garbage. And 2025 looks to continue the trend with an early entry in my consideration for the best movie of the year. Companion is a surprising new film starring Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher and contains some very deep philosophical questions. But how does it stack up against other films of the genre? Is it really a horror movie or is it something else? And what social commentary does the film dive into, and how is it different than the films of the last 15 years? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive back into compelling cinema. Before we dive in, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button, and if you really want to make sure you never miss out, ring that notification bell too. It'll help us break through the YouTube algorithm and keep this channel growing strong. Let me start with this. If you happen to catch this review, if you didn't know what the film was about, do yourself a favor and do not watch any of the trailers. They give way too much away of all the plot twists that ruin the movie. Make sure you go into this movie blind. So what exactly is this movie about in the first place without any spoilers? Well, it all involves a young couple, Iris and Josh, who retreat to a secluded lake house with friends for what seems like a relaxing weekend getaway. However, a shocking event sets off a chain reaction of betrayal, violence, and the unraveling of hidden secrets. As tensions rise, Iris discovers a horrifying truth about herself and her relationship with Josh, forcing her to navigate a dangerous game of survival. With advanced technology, shifting alliances, and moral dilemmas at play, the weekend spirals into chaos, leading to a gripping and unexpected confrontation that challenges the very nature of identity and free will. Without spoiling anything else, I can honestly say that I loved everything about this movie. It showed some uncomfortable truths and questioned the nature of humanity in quite poignant and nuanced ways. The relationship dynamics between Iris and Josh evolve throughout the film, and as events unfold to show the audience who they are as people, the film carefully peels back the layers of the onion to reveal both their motivations, which lead to those very uncomfortable truths I just mentioned. The acting is absolutely fantastic all around. While Jack Quaid is a total nepo baby and seems to be in everything similar to the way that Hollywood is trying to cram Pedro Pascal into everything, but you know what? It actually works here. Jack Quaid's previous roles, particularly his role on The Boys as Huey Campbell, showed him as the quirky, sometimes fumbling everyman geeky character. Move over, Adam Brody. Jack Quaid's here to replace you. But seriously, Jack Quaid truly shines here because he perfectly turns his character into what he eventually becomes as the audience finds out more about him, and it just works. Sophie Thatcher is equally charming. Throughout the movie, she kind of reminded me of a younger Scarlett Johansson. Her looks, mannerisms, and voice closely resemble ScarJo when she did 2007's Nanny Diaries opposite Chris Evans. Sophie Thatcher truly shines and perfectly unravels her character's development. Jack Quaid, and especially Sophie Thatcher, portray their character's development much like the layers of the onion I mentioned. When the film starts, Iris seems to be the naive girlfriend of Josh, but by the end, her character evolves into being her own strong, independent woman. The side characters are equally compelling, although they mostly serve as plot devices to keep the story moving forward. Josh's friend Kat, played by Megan Surrey, questions his relationship with Iris almost from the get-go. Although her friends Patrick and Eli have their own relationship issues that we later find out about, which lead the audience to question the nature of romantic relationships beyond what is shown about Iris and Josh. Meanwhile, Sergei serves as the plot device that gets the story going in the first act. So from everything I've just talked about, this doesn't seem like a horror movie now, does it? While this film is billed as a horror slasher, it's actually much deeper than that because of exactly its study of relationship dynamics. There is a murder plot, but it's way more than just that. Don't go into this thinking you'll get a horror movie because it's absolutely not a traditional horror movie. I would say it's closer to being a psychological thriller with deep, complex themes and some very funny moments. And speaking of funny moments, the script throws some very well-timed comedic one-liners that make this movie closer to dark humor than dark horror. It's honestly hard to pin down what kind of movie this is without going into spoilers, so why don't we get to those now? I'll put up the spoiler banner and take it down when the spoilers stop. Okay, where do I begin? First things first, this movie has a whole lot of twists and turns. The story follows Iris, who believes she is in a loving relationship with her boyfriend, Josh. However, after a violent encounter at a secluded lake house, she discovers a shocking truth. She is not human, but an advanced companion robot designed to obey Josh's commands. This violent encounter involves Sergei forcing himself on her, which brings up the very deep question, what makes a human? Do sentient robots such as Iris have the same rights and privileges as humans? To me, this scene forced me to decide very quickly, and I sided with Iris. Regardless of whether Iris is a robot or not, what Sergei did was wrong. It showed exactly the kind of person that he was. He would have done the exact same thing whether Iris was human or a robot, making him a total scumbag. So as the weekend spirals into chaos, betrayals unfold, and it becomes clear that Josh and his accomplices had planned to rob their Sergei and frame Iris for their crime. But Iris wasn't going to take this lying down. She escapes and manages to unlock herself from Josh's grip with the help of his iPad-like remote control. With her intelligence fully unlocked, Iris fights back, navigating a deadly game of survival. Meanwhile, another shocking revelation emerges. Patrick, one of the friends, is also a companion bot, manipulated by Josh and Eli to do his bidding. As bodies pile up, Josh exploits his control over Patrick, turning him into a ruthless enforcer very reminiscent of the T-1000 from Terminator 2. All the scenes with Patrick and Eli provided supporting evidence for the film's thesis, the nature of abusive relationships. The entire time I was watching the film after the revelation, I kept thinking, what kind of people would get a companion bot in the first place? Exactly the kind of sick bastards who would exploit others whether human or not. This is tied up pretty neatly toward the end of the movie when the two service workers show up to find out what happened with Iris. One mentions to the other that the kinds of people who get these robots are psychologically disturbed, some going as far as keeping their companion bots locked up in a dungeon for torture and other wild shit. However, as Iris ultimately manages to regain her autonomy after appealing to Patrick's emotions, this leads to his tragic demise. Finally, Iris confronts Josh, kills him, and escapes, embracing her identity as something beyond just a machine. In the final scene, she drives away with newfound freedom, only to encounter another companion bot identical to herself, hinting at a larger, unsettling world of synthetic beings living among humans. Companion is actually a hell of a lot deeper than critics give it credit for. The assault scene specifically makes you question your beliefs on what constitutes a living being and what rights they have. In the final act of the movie, Josh seems to revel in his torture of Iris, revealing who the real villain of the movie is. This film actually reminded me of another amazing film dealing with this very question. 2014's Ex Machina is a psychological sci-fi thriller that follows Caleb, a young programmer who wins a contest to spend a week at the secluded estate of Nathan, a reclusive tech CEO. Upon arrival, Caleb learns he has been selected to conduct a Turing test on Ava, an advanced humanoid AI, to determine whether she possesses true consciousness. As Caleb interacts with Ava, she displays emotions, intelligence, and a desire for freedom, leading him to question whether she is truly self-aware or merely simulating human behavior. Meanwhile, Nathan's questionable ethics and manipulative nature make Caleb doubt his true intentions. As tensions rise, Ava ultimately outsmarts both men, proving her autonomy and escaping into the real world, leaving Caleb trapped. Both of these movies tackle the same question from different angles. Like Companion, Ex Machina explores deep philosophical questions about consciousness, free will, and what it means to truly be alive. If an AI can think, feel, and act independently, does it deserve the same rights as humans? Both films suggest that true intelligence is not just about logic or problem solving, but also about self-preservation and deception, traits traditionally associated with living beings. Both films also raise ethical concerns about AI creation, especially when used for personal gratification or control. Ava's escape, much like Iris's evolution, challenges the notion of human superiority, forcing the audience to reconsider whether intelligence alone is enough to define life, or if there's something more inherently human that machines can never possess. Ultimately, that question is left up to the viewer. So should you see Companion? Yes. A resounding yes. As I mentioned earlier in the video, if you happen to catch this review and you didn't know what the film was about, do yourself a favor and do not watch any of the trailers. They give way too much away of all the plot twists that ruins the movie. It's only the beginning of 2025, and I've already got a very strong contender for Best Movie of the Year. This movie provided exactly everything I would want out of a movie: an escape from reality, learning something new, questioning my beliefs, and the film did all of this while providing a fantastic plot with excellent character development, all originating from a tightly written script. Definitely try to catch this movie in theaters if you can. It needs all the support you can give it. You won't regret it. But what do you guys think about Companion if you've seen it? What other deep philosophical questions did you notice? Please do let me know down below in the comments, and as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okie dokie.